Shane Bruce here. My daughter, Olivia, insists that I narrate a portion of the book Game of Thrones for your edification. We start with Eddard. The visitors poured through the castle gates in a river of gold and silver and polished steel. 300 strong, a pride of bannermen and knights, of sworn swords and free riders. Over their heads, a dozen golden banners whipped back and forth in the northern wind, emblazoned with the crown star of Baratheon. Ned knew many of the riders. There came Sir Jaime Lannister, with hair as bright as beaten gold. And there, Sandor Clegane, with his terrible burned face. The tall boy beside him could only be the crown prince, and that stunted little man behind them was surely the imp, Tyrone Lannister.
Tyrion.
Yet, the huge man at the head of the column, flanked by 2 knights in snow-white cloaks of the king's guard, seemed almost a stranger to Ned, until he vaulted off the back of his warhorse with a familiar roar, and crushed him in a bone-crunching hug. Ned! Ah, but it is good to see that frozen face of yours. The king looked him over, top to bottom, and laughed. You have not changed at all. Would that Ned would have been able to say the same 15 years past, when they had ridden forth to win a throne. This Lord of Storm's End had been a clean-shaven, clear-eyed, and muscled like a maiden's fantasy. 6.5 feet tall, he towered over lesser men, and when he donned his armor and the great antlered helmet of his house, he became a veritable giant. He'd had a giant's strength, too. His weapon of choice was a spiked iron warhammer that Ned could scarcely lift. In those days, the smell of leather and blood had clung to him like perfume. Now, it was the perfume that clung to him like perfume. He had a girth to match his height. Ned had last seen the king 9 years before, during Balon Greyjoy's rebellion, and when the stag and direwolf had joined to end the pretensions of the self-proclaimed king of the Iron Islands. Since the night they stood side by side in Greyjoy's fallen stronghold, where Robert had accepted the rebel lord's surrender, and Ned had taken his son Theon as hostage and ward, the king had gained at least 8 stone. A beard as coarse and black as iron wire covered his jaw to hide his double chin and the sag of the royal jowls, but nothing could hide his stomach or the dark circle under his eyes. End of